So you're just back from watching X-Men Apocalypse, you're still picking the popcorn from your teeth, and you want somewhere to discuss the movie.
And by discuss the movie, we mean listen to us for about 4 or 5 minutes.
Like us, you probably went in with a bunch of questions. Was the movie really as bad as the critics are making out? Is this another crappy threequel?
And was Ivan Ooze's glorious return to the silver screen any good?
I, for one, really enjoyed the movie. With a lot of competition in the CBM world, this is clearly the most ambitious X-Men movie to date. They cover a lot of ground. The dialogue and the connecting tissue are perhaps a little weaker than we've come to expect from the X-Men franchise, but I don't think it harms the movie too much on the whole. There are obviously some big jumps in the story. A lot of things happen just for the sake of the plot, but when each set piece arrives, it really delivers.
The scenes that I really liked were the opening scene, Ensabar Nur getting transferred to another body, and of course the Wolverine scene. I thought that was fantastic.
It was awesome to see Wolverine doing his Berserker Barrage!
I would like to see a few more limbs being chopped off, but on the whole, it was amazing. So what a lot of critics seem to be missing is that not every comic book movie can be The Dark Knight or The Avengers. X-Men Apocalypse had a very tight production schedule, and given the limited time, I think Bryan Singer did a really good job. A little known fact about the X-Men is that it was originally written as a metaphor for racism. So if you didn't like this movie, you're a racist.
I think the difficulty this movie had was portraying the villain credibly. In Oscar Isaac, they have a very capable actor. I don't know if you've seen Ex Machina, but he brings this malevolent physicality to his part, which is perfect for Apocalypse. But by layering him with all that makeup and armour, it kind of takes away from his performance elements. And while he's obviously a force to be reckoned with, there's not much there in terms of character. And considering Oscar's nose is so big, it might have been wise to go down the Voldemort route and just remove it digitally.
He does have a lot of makeup on, but I think he's very menacing and very commanding as Apocalypse. When he's on screen, what he wants will happen. The movie's probably 50-50 in how well it handles the characters. People like Lawrence and Psylocke and Storm are maybe a little bit wasted, but others, McAvoy in particular, do a superb job, and the characters' emotions ground the movie. Sophie Turner as well did an excellent job as the young Jean Grey. They're very clearly hinting at something a little twisted and damaged under the surface. Hopefully that plays out in later movies. And props to Klops too, because he had a big visor to fill.
Yeah, there was some really good acting talent on display. For me, the ending felt a little forced, but the movie is on top of the box office this weekend, though it is quite far behind the type of money Deadpool made on its release, which seems to suggest the negative reaction has harmed the movie a little, or perhaps audiences are looking for something a bit different from their comic book movies this year.
As derided as Fox are for not sticking close to the source material, they make enjoyable experiences at the cinema. I think Singer has done a really, really good job with X-Men. X-Men 1 was an excellent film. X-Men 2 was even better. Clearly they dropped the ball on X-Men 3, which they make a joke out of in this film, but I think Singer has brought to a close what he started in the X-Men films. They're almost into the modern age. They've got their costumes and powers sorted out. The situation is set. They just need to make a more adventurous movie.
Yeah, I think they just need to give themselves a little more breathing room next time around and get the story straight this time. We don't need a new X-Men movie every 2 years. Ironically, the only time we did was just after X-Men 2, and we all know how that turned out.
Superman Returns.
Alright, so into the post-credit scene, we saw the Essex Corporation heavily teased. Are you looking forward to seeing Mr. Sinister in the next movie?
I really am. This is one guy I've been wanting to see the entire time of X-Men movies. I've been a big fan of X-Men for a long, long time. I read the comics as a kid, and Sinister is something so personal to the X-Men. He's not a world-ending force. He is more of a, I will take your shit and fuck you over with it, and that's more interesting to me.
Yeah, it seems like they're embracing their villains in the X-Men cinematic universe a little more now. We've got Apocalypse, we're going to get Mr. Sinister, and up until now it's been very Magneto-oriented.
X-Men have got some wonderful villains as well.
Would you like to see Juggernaut reappear at some point?
I'm the fucking Juggernaut, bitch.
Don't you know who I am?
Dickhead. I would like to see Juggernaut, but I don't think it can be convincingly done. And one more thing that we definitely have to mention, Doopie, is that these people have not aged at all in 20 years. None of it makes any sense. There is no timeline in X-Men. Don't get hung up in that. Just enjoy the movies. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if there's one thing you can say about X-Men Apocalypse, it was a very enjoyable movie in spite of its flaws. And the critics are just fucking really miserable if they miss that.
They are the Sentinels to Bryan Singer's X-Men.
So what did you think of X-Men Apocalypse? Do you think the critics are being way too harsh on this movie? We'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, YouTubers. We hope you're enjoying the content we're putting out, and we'd be very grateful if you could subscribe to our channel. Also, if you follow us on Twitter, we'll follow you right back.